Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we will take a look at some new Just No HOA content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
First one is titled, You Should Follow Your Own Rules. Not my story but my dad's. Also not technically HOA but I think in the spirit of it. Let me know if it's not. Anyway, so when I was 2 my dad bought the house I grew up in. It was a major fixer-upper. In total he probably put $100,000 fixing it up if not more. So this is where the story comes in. The city building inspector informed my dad that because it was documented that he spent over $50,000 improving his property he would have to build a sidewalk. But only in front of his house. The experience would come out of his pocket. If anyone injured themselves on the sidewalk that abruptly started and abruptly ended, he'd be responsible for that as well, along with upkeep. It would also cut about 3 feet into the front yard and would permanently lower the property value. Now at the time that this happened the city had completely renovated a park playground costing well over the $50,000 and this was public knowledge. Also the park was within viewing distance of our house and had 2 historic trees within feet of the road. My dad wrote a letter to the mayor's office and worded the cover letter in a way such that they would have to publicly read the entire letter out loud during a public meeting. The letter basically said to lead by example, and put in a sidewalk at the newly renovated park, meaning they'd have to cut down the 2 historic trees. The public was outraged. After that the building inspector basically let him renovate the house however he liked. And there is still no sidewalk. Next one is titled, HOA Representative Delays Apartment Renovations, Costing Apartment Its Warranty. So I, 28, male, am in Canada. I'm working on an apartment in which we have had multiple meetings with the local HOA to get approvals for how the material looks, color, even how it goes together. I work in architectural sheet metal so I won't throw a whole lot of jargon at you. Anyways, we have been working on this building for about 2 months, made it up to the 6th floor securing the cap metal with standing seams, wing clip and smash pins, when the HOA representative comes out onto the scaffolding and promptly says, "Take off all the cap flashing. I don't like the standing seams because it runs my view and the views of the residents. Don't you know this is a luxury apartment?" My boss and I both looked dumbfounded, and I said to the representative, "I'm sorry but this is a part of local laws on securement of the metal. If you didn't like this should have been brought up during the meeting with the architect, the head contractor. This building is as old as I am, clearly was not built to standard, and if you are a construction worker like I am, you would clearly see it just by looking at the building's concrete." After the HOA representative left, we went to talk with the head contractor, in which he laughed his butt off. Told us not to worry about it since the HOA is already into it for a good $1 million and would cost them another $50K to remove the siding, take out our metal, pay for new metal, install it, then reinstall the siding to get it to the way he wants it. A day later we get a phone call from the owner saying that they are going to pay for it. But the way they want it, absolutely no standing seams, is going to cost the building its 10-year warranty on the metal. Meaning that if anything happens after we leave the building, it's not our problem. Next one is titled, HOA plus roof leak. Sloppy. I informed the property manager, HOA, about a roof leak about 2 weeks ago. They sent someone over who apparently did nothing and left. Had another really bad leak on Sunday night. Called them and they sent another person out, who said the AC units on the roof were incredibly sloppy, foobar. He sent me pics too. Loads of blatantly obvious damage. Sounds like the property manager is now working with the HOA to confirm a roof replacement, but it will take them a bit to confirm, which is nuts to me. They also want me to cover the ceiling damage which was caused by their negligence. The bill is really not a big deal to me, but moving slowly on the roof repair, risking more leaks, is insane. The damage will get far worse and there is real mold risk. I work approximately 15 hours a day and the last thing I need to worry about is water in my apartment. The whole point of an apartment was easy care, no work on my end. Clearly I made a big boo-boo. Anyways, I asked for an update on when I can expect action on the roof so I can plan the ceiling repair, and the property manager hasn't replied. I left VM and called their office, and the lady there said she would ping the PM, but haven't heard anything yet. I asked for the board members' info so I could quickly shoot them a text to ask if the property manager has even contacted them. I doubt he has, and she refused to give me their info. I'm in UT if it matters and have no problem retaining an attorney to speed things up, as cost doesn't matter to me as much as stress, headache. For context, this property manager has failed to reply to emails and calls in the past. The guy is incredibly slow and unimpressive. I am thinking of working on swapping out the property management firm by working with the HOA, as they clearly add no value, aren't capable of doing their job. Thoughts? I am thinking of retaining an attorney to speed up the roof repair process and work on swapping out this colossal shitbag PM. The cost would be negligible to me, and I care more about the massive stress, headache this glue eater has caused. Next one is titled, Unbelievably Irresponsible HOA, a line has been crossed. I have posted here before about my miserable HOA, but this time I think they are crossing a serious line. Note: I am not in violation of anything this time, but I know a few homeowners who are. I am in a townhome community, and each unit townhome has its own 1 to 3 car garage plus driveways. Since COVID, many people started working out and exercising at home. Many people park in their driveway and use their garage as the workout room. However, our HOA says in the rules, it says you must use your garage for your car and can only park in the driveway if your garage is being used for another car. They say you are not allowed to use your garage for storage or exercise, that your garage is only for vehicles. I kid you not. I feel like I should contact an attorney or Georgia Health Department and complain. This HOA is attacking people for trying to be responsible. Next one is titled, How My Mom Shamed the HOA into Disbanding. My mom lives as a nice, newer home community with a voluntary HOA. My mother, being the firecracker she is, refused to formally join the HOA but agreed to do the things she would do anyway to upkeep her home. We paint for her, she has gardener, wash windows, etc. She never signed any documents, doesn't pay fees, but told the board she would adhere to the standards she didn't find silly. The volunteer president lives next to my mother, and this guy has never liked our family. Since mom didn't join, he would knock on her door for friendly visits to tell her what rules she was violating. It was all very silly, and we continued to ignore him. His biggest pet peeve was her trash cans. They stayed out too long after trash pickup and said it was an eyesore for the rest of the neighborhood. Now I have to explain a few things about mom. Mom is a double amputee, has a dysfunctional side from stroke, is wheelchair bound, and is still about 95% independent. There's a few things she can't do, and bringing the trash cans in and out of the side gate is one of them. For that chore, my sister or myself come over the night before trash day and put them out, and the following evening to put them back in. He bitched and complained, wrote letters and called the city about her trash cans. This guy knew my mom is in a wheelchair, but he kept harassing her. It was after a winter storm that the trash can blew over and sprayed the neighborhood with trash overnight. It wasn't just her can, by the way, it was several. My sister and I walked the neighborhood and picked up the trash as soon as we could. Well, the president lost his mind. He gathered up the other members of the board next trash day and stormed up to her house. He yelled at her through the screen door while the other sycophants nodded their heads. I happened to be there and was preparing to grab a broom and sweep the trash, yelling at my mom off our porch. But, to my mother's credit, she didn't yell back. She simply opened the door and rolled her wheelchair down the drive. And then, my tiny mother struggled to pull the trash can back up the driveway with her one good arm. It was actually pretty sad. Mom hammed it up. She has adapted to her weak side, but you wouldn't know it from watching her that day. By the time she got the can halfway up the drive, the angry mob was glaring daggers at the president. I would find out later he never told them she was disabled and painted her as lazy, and most of the meetings were the president bitching about my mom and telling lies about what a nightmare it was living next to her. After a round of muttered apologies, they scattered like roaches in the light. Once they left, I moved the trash cans in and we had a good laugh. The volunteer HOA died very soon after that. Apparently no one wanted to attend meetings that were little more than glorified bitching sessions about my mom and other people in the neighborhood. The president had been harassing other homeowners and telling similar lies about them. He was proven a liar and we almost never see him now. I'd say the neighborhood has gotten better at this point. This guy turned out to be cause of all the strife, and without his influence people began to actually talk to each other. Nowadays people stop by to check on mom during storms, and sometimes her trash cans will magically appear in the side yard on windy days. And mom in perfect fashion sent out Christmas cards to all her neighbors. You may have seen this card in the stores, but it has a raccoon on it and says, "Merry Trashmas." Last one is titled, "Long Hard Fight Against Corrupt HOA." I'm a long-term owner of a condo, 30 years. When I bought my condo, many of the original purchasers still remained in the association. About 10 years ago, I moved and rented my condo. During the time, many of the original owners sold and just a couple of them remained. About 5 years ago, I got notice of some unusual changes being proposed to the bylaws, including the board having authority to spend 25% of the budget on whatever it wanted and removing the requirement of an annual financial audit. Red flags shot up everywhere. I attended the annual meeting where the changes were going to be voted on and I raised holy hell. The two remaining original owners had taken over the board and manipulated all the new owners into believing that the board had dictatorial powers. When I pointed out the unlawful changes to the other owners and reminded them that the bylaws were meant to protect us, the changes were rejected. This incident started 5 years of hell for me. I started looking at other association matters that had happened while I was an absent owner. Over $100,000 had been spent on pet projects by the board that were never run by the owners, and the same people kept getting elected to board every year. Concerned about my investment, I moved back into my condo and started talking with people. I was getting the cold shoulder by everyone and found out that I had become known as a problem maker. I persisted on informing people of unlawful activity that was going on despite people rolling their eyes at me and dismissing everything I would say. A year later, I had a lot of water damage occur in my unit. When I went to the board to file an insurance claim through the association's insurance, it was rejected and I was told to pay for it myself. They told me, "Your condo, your problem." I couldn't afford $20,000 in repairs and filed a lawsuit. During the 2 years of the lawsuit, I had access to the association's documents which showed election fraud and misappropriation of funds. This was reported to authorities who did nothing because it's an HOA. Government agencies consider HOAs self-governed and would not do anything unless a lot of owners file complaints. I was fighting alone, so I got nowhere with that. After 2 years of fighting the HOA in court, against lawyers being paid by the HOA insurance, my lawsuit came to a complete stop over a technicality I wasn't able to fix. However, I did find out that the board had hired an extra lawyer and secretly paid him with HOA money. I brought this to the attention of one other owner who would occasionally listen to me, and she had a hussy fit. The board had told the other owners that my lawsuit was frivolous and that it wasn't costing the association any money. She confronted the board about spending tens of thousands in HOA money on a secret lawyer and claiming my lawsuit was frivolous when the court found their counterclaims frivolous. The board shut out all the other owners and told them that the board can do what it needs to without the other owners' consent. Now most of the owners were upset and called a members' meeting to find out what was going on. I now had people willing to listen to me. I exposed everything. The election fraud and the massive amount of money that was wasted that the owners didn't know about. The owners petitioned the board for a members' vote to remove each board member. The board fought back viciously, but the main board members that had hijacked the association were removed. The new board then fired the management company that helped the bad board commit its crimes. After almost 5 years of living in hell, feeling lost and alone fighting an organization that has 99% odds in its favor, I killed the beast. The board paid for the repairs to my unit and created a committee to rewrite the rules and regulations to ensure that such abuse never happens again. I was appointed to that committee and I personally rewrote the document using the legal knowledge I had gained from filing my own lawsuit. The owners in the condo association now have veto power over the board. The rules and regulations comply with the law and governing documents, and a sense of pride is returning to the condo that had been ripped away from it by a couple of controlling manipulative hags that thought they could do what they please. This entire situation was difficult as hell and it took a toll on me emotionally, health-wise, and financially. It was also very time-consuming. I do not recommend that an individual condo owner fight back like I did. I was lucky and had enough legal skills to tackle this on my own. Most people who fight a crooked condo association lose big time. Unless you can get a competent lawyer to represent you, it could be disastrous for you. But with minor issues, speak up. Know your condo's legal documents and inform other owners when the board does things they're not supposed to or not doing things that they are supposed to. Act reasonably. If you overreact, the other owners will not pay attention to you. I hope others dealing with bad HOA boards succeed in their fights. Hopefully, state legislatures will one day crack down on the fraud going on in HOAs and give owners the rights they need to protect their homes from HOA abuse. Thanks for listening.